The PlayStation Vita is now a legacy device, and honestly it was never really supported by Sony the way it should be. But with all that said, the PlayStation Vita is actually one of my favorite consoles ever made. The Vita may have had a bad reputation, but it boasts some pretty great games, and the OLED screen on the original looks outstanding, and you can even play a lot of the PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 1 library on the Vita, which was perfect for me. So yeah, I was pretty sad seeing the Vita vanish into the sunset, but if you find yourself a Vita, here is a list of 15 must-play games on the PlayStation Vita. At number 15 we have one of the most popular games ever made, Minecraft. Minecraft has been made for pretty much every device, whether that be phones, computers, and in this case the PlayStation Vita. And there's a good reason that Minecraft has sold over 100 million copies, and that's because it's a good game for both kids and adults. In its Lego-like world, you can create almost anything you can imagine, whether that be in creative mode, which allows you to have full creative freedom, or in survival mode where you must fight off zombies, creepers, and fend off hunger. It fits perfectly on the PlayStation Vita, and it's the ultimate portable Minecraft experience with complete physical button controls. Sony may have not supported the PlayStation Vita the way they should have, but KILLZONE Mercenary is one example of what the Vita could do if given the right opportunity. Not only did the hit franchise come over to the Vita, but KILLZONE Mercenary is possibly the best first-person shooter on the Vita. It took full control of the hardware, and it looks pretty fantastic for a portable device, and it controls pretty well too. At the time it did have a pretty fun multiplayer, but considering that isn't really a thing anymore, the campaign can be enjoyable as well. If you like first-person shooters, then KILLZONE Mercenary is the way to go. WIPEOUT has been one of the best futuristic racers on the market for a long time, and that's still true on the portable screen. It does have a few technical issues such as long load times, but that doesn't really stop WIPEOUT 2048 from being a fun and thrilling game. WIPEOUT has a good campaign that can offer a real challenge, but also the tracks are brilliantly designed with tight turns and nice backdrops. WIPEOUT is all about speed though, and that is exactly what it excels at. Just prepare to hit the boost pads and rush for first place. The one genre that the Vita really excels at, in my opinion, is the JRPG genre, and Trails of Cold Steel is one of the best on the platform. Trails of Heroes Cold Steel is part life sim where you go to an academy school, hang out with friends, and improve your bonds, but at the same time it offers a large and expansive world where you're fighting for the military with your classmates. It has that old school JRPG feeling with turn-based combat, and it's one of the things I love about it so much. The story is a bit of a slow burn, but similar to the rest of the franchise, the first game is really just part 1. So if you play Trails of Heroes Cold Steel, prepare to play the second for the continuation of the story. While we're at it, I'm also going to recommend Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky, which is a PlayStation Portable game available on the Vita. It's considered to be one of the best JRPGs for a reason. The first thing anybody and everybody notices about Gravity Rush is its beautiful art style, but that isn't the only thing that's great about Gravity Rush. It also has a fun open world to play around in, as you can manipulate gravity to your will, changing which way you fall. This also plays a role in how you fight enemies as you hover above them and dive into their weak spots, smashing them to pieces. It's a very interesting and unique mechanic, and they did a surprisingly good job with it. Gravity Rush also has a bit of a collectathon aspect to it, and you can find hidden crystals all across the world, and because you have to search in different perspectives based on how you land in gravity, it can be a bit addicting. Then there's the story and its characters, and while it's not the best story ever, it is engaging. I think if anything, Gravity Rush is one of the most unique games on this list, and definitely a must-play for the Vita. Virtue's Last Reward is widely considered to be one of the best point-and-click adventure games for putting you into uncomfortable scenarios. You, being one of 9 individuals brought to a prison-like labyrinth, must find a way to escape by opening a door. The problem is, the door will only remain open for 9 seconds, so you have to choose on whether or not you trust the people around you. It has clever puzzles, a fantastic story that has branching paths, so no two playthroughs are exactly the same. And unlike many games that do this, you will have to make some tough decisions as you choose whether or not you want to portray someone. The truth is, The only way to achieve your ultimate goal is to betray others in Virtue's Last Reward, so you can't always play the nice guy. It really is an interesting plot, and if you like story-driven games, Virtue's Last Reward might be just for you. I've always been a really big fan of Digimon, so when I saw Cyber Sleuth, I had to get it, and I'm happy to say that it's possibly the best Digimon game ever made. Digimon, in my opinion, was always a great TV show, but it hasn't been very often that we've gotten a good Digimon game. But in Cyber Sleuth, it hit the trifecta. It has fun and addictive monster capturing with an interesting evolution mechanic that has Digimon branching into several different Digimon. You can even have 3 different Digimon fight at once together in turn-based combat, and the story is engaging as well. Really, Digimon Cyber Sleuth is not only a good game, but one of the best games on the Vita. When Final Fantasy X released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2, it was a beautiful game. But even now, 18 years later on the PlayStation Vita, it's such a pretty game with a gorgeous world, and in my opinion, the best place to play it. And as usual, Square Enix does such a good job with the character design. And even though the protagonist Tidus isn't exactly my favorite in the world, it does have an emotional story with likable characters. It has a very serious theme about religion, family, and romance, which will have you gripped to Final Fantasy X for a long time, as many before it has been. It also has enjoyable combat with a very unique level up system. If you haven't played Final Fantasy X yet, and you like JRPG games, then Final Fantasy X is a must-have. As an added bonus, it even comes with Final Fantasy X-2. Rayman Legends is honestly one of the best 2D platformers ever made, so it should come as no surprise that it's also great on the PlayStation Vita. In fact, I think it fits the handheld perfectly. It has great art style to it, but it's the tight controls, level design, and precision of each jump that makes Rayman so good. It does have a few minor issues on the Vita, but it also has touch controls, which was exclusive to only the Vita and the Wii U, giving you some extra features. Tearaway and art style goes hand in hand. It's one of those games that you see and you just know it's going to be good. It was also made by Media Molecule, which just has a knack for charming characters and level design, which of course Tearaway has. It's a little on the easier side, but it's a good 3D platformer that takes advantage of the Vita's hardware, such as the touchpad on the back and the camera. What I think Tearaway does so well though, is exactly what Media Molecule asks its community to do, which is being creative and imaginative. Tearaway is a paper world and your protagonist is a message. You must deliver the message, and from the very beginning you'll understand. It's a world like no other. Disgaea 4 stole my heart when I originally played it, with its witty and wacky characters. Disgaea 4 is a strategy RPG game with a ton of depth and replayability, as you can level characters up in insane amounts, such as 999. But it's the story that I found to be so alluring. It's a game that never takes itself too serious, and it makes this well known from the very beginning. And you're playing as a bunch of demons, but each with a peculiar personality. You find yourself liking these demons and rooting for them and their sometimes petty motivation. There is romance, sardines, and lots of hilarious banter. Seriously, I can't recommend this one enough, and really I'd actually recommend almost the entire franchise, which is mostly on the PlayStation Vita from the first all the way up to the fourth. Little Big Planet PlayStation Vita, contrary to what many people believes, is its own title. This isn't some port, but rather a game built from the ground up for the PlayStation Vita, and it shows. The game is brilliantly designed from the controls, the campaign, to the character design. The developers hit it out of the park with Little Big Planet PlayStation Vita. The controls especially was a masterpiece as they took full control of the Vita's extra features, and with plenty of gadgets to diversify the platforming, it never gets stale. As a fan of the Little Big Planet franchise, I would arguably say that Little Big Planet PlayStation Vita may be the best one. Sony Ben took on the tall task of taking on the Uncharted franchise, which is often held for the technical achievements, and to make a brand new Uncharted on a small screen for the PlayStation Vita, not only were they able to do this, but it turned out even better than what I thought it would. Uncharted Golden Abyss is a prequel to the massively popular third-person shooter and brings back your favorite treasure hunter Nathan Drake. As usual, the story is just as alluring as ever on a small screen, and you'll find yourself chuckling at the witty banter among characters. The gunplay is excellent, and they did add some touchscreen effects, though I can't really say I was a huge fan of this, but nonetheless, I still think Golden Abyss is a great game and one of the best for the Vita. This one may surprise a few people that I rank Danganronpa so high, but this is how much I actually like Danganronpa. When I think about the PlayStation Vita and my absolute favorite games, Danganronpa is one of the first games I immediately think of. It's dark and twisted, but the story is so captivating that you just can't put it down. In many ways, Danganronpa is an odd game. It's almost like a visual novel, but has these murder mysteries you have to solve. See, the entire premise of Danganronpa is that you're imprisoned in a school without any memory as to why, and now this evil teddy bear Monokuma is forcing the students who become friends with one another to also kill one another. See, the goal is to kill a classmate and then not to be caught in a trial. If the killer manages to conceal the murder and get away with it, then he or she will be allowed to escape, but if you solve the mystery, then the murderer will be executed. It's an absolutely fascinating premise, and you'll be surprised by some of the portrayal. The story and characters are brilliantly told, and it's actually one of my favorite stories in video games. Not only is Danganronpa great, but so is the second and third game, which is also available on the PlayStation Vita. I even found myself enjoying the weird spin-off Ultra Despair Girls, so if you haven't played this franchise, I'd highly recommend it. First place absolutely has to go to one of the best JRPG games ever made, Persona 4 Golden. Persona basically popularized the entire sim life in JRPG games, but what makes Persona 4 Golden so great is the characters and the story. Each character has such great chemistry with one another. In my opinion, that's what really sucks you into the world, and you start to feel like you know each character on a personal level. It also helps that it has great atmosphere as well, but the whole game revolves around a mystery of people dying in a fog in a small town. As time goes on, you as well as a few of your other classmates starts to figure out they can enter a different dimension by going through a TV where they have to fight their own inner demons. And I know it all sounds really odd, but they start to unravel the mystery of the murders. Like I said, I know it sounds odd, but overall it's such a captivating game, and if you ever believe the hype around any game, this is the one. It's arguably the best JRPG game ever created, and that isn't just me hyping it up. I honestly do believe that Persona 4 Golden is one of the best JRPG games ever created. Anyways, that's it for this episode, but I do hope it helped you discover some games for the PlayStation Vita. If I didn't mention a few of your favorites, let me know in the comments below, and let's help others find games for the Vita as well. But if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.